Hello, my name is Taz Fulford. I'm an associate professor at Mississippi State University in the Department of Landscape Architecture and Environmental Design. My talk today is from Manifesto to Model, Artificial Intelligence as a Lens for Understanding Design Values in Landscape Architecture Education. The research takes place in a sophomore year landscape architecture studio made up of both traditional and transfer students. That particular studio deals with small scale community development. We discuss the importance of infill development, pocket neighborhoods, placemaking, those kinds of things. Students are asked early in the semester to read several manifestos and other readings to develop their own beliefs about landscape architecture, design, and what their major concerns are for the profession in the future. We try to use engaged pedagogy in the classroom. We encourage students to ask questions of not only the teachers and graduate assistants, but each other, do peer learning, peer review, and we want to empower them to think critically about the design decisions they make. We want them to commit to their own growth and well-being so they can authentically engage others and teammates and then potential employers. We want to foster care, respect, and dialogue in the classroom. Freedom in the classroom will allow people to speak freely and maybe push themselves a little more in their design solutions. We use the book Pocket Neighborhoods by Ross Chapin. It's a wonderful book with a lot of great imagery. The text is wonderful. We also read Suburban Nation. We read a work called Alternating Current Design Process by John Lyle, and other readings as well for the students to draw from as they write. So when we integrate AI into the studio analysis, we start with we use ChatGPT to help analyze student manifestos, their design statements, design process, presentation boards. ChatGPT is a natural language processing model, and it can identify themes in their writing. And in this case, in the class, it's identified things such as nature, community, ecology, craft, sustainability, and others that you see there. It can pull out tone and sentiment analysis, and those were also performed on these manifestos. In those manifestos, we're trying to see what values are most frequently expressed, how do values materialize, and then how successful are those ideas communicated visually. Within that analysis, ChatGPT can pull out language style tones. So this student, I'm going to refer to student 01. We're going to look at that student's work mostly, and then some of the general class information. But the student was analytical, confident, tentative, and because it occasionally reflects uncertainty and past identity and hesitation and breaking habits. I mean, those kinds of things AI will pull out and can lay it out for the student to and faculty to see. Emotional tone, so joy, in this case, joy expressed throughout passion for art, creativity, and purpose in design, inspiration, hope, sadness, and disappointment, and it's just reflecting on suburban sprawl, creativity fading, those types of issues, and gratitude toward mentors, peers, and the profession. Um, the summary will show that the student expresses a reflective, idealistic, and socially committed tone. It blends joy, purpose, and mild disillusionment into a narrative of personal discovery and creative identity. Um, the tone's analytical with confident undercurrents. Moments of doubt and honesty about personal growth. Those are the kinds of things we want to see. We want to see students that they're confident in some areas and they may question themselves in others, and those are places that they can grow. Um, the tone is well aligned with future-oriented, socially conscious design philosophy. And she sees landscape architecture as both artistic and ethical act. So here's just a basic, annotated language style tone profile. You can see it. It shows here easily. You can see she's got some tentativeness, strong, analytical thinking, uh, moderate confidence. Um, and so we see those things, we recognize them, and then when the student sees these, I think it opens their eyes a little bit more. I think they recognize some of those things, but then when they see it in the text, they respond to that. Core values expressed in the manifesto. This particular one, their core values are environmental responsibility. They view landscape architecture as ecological stewardship, creativity and artistic expression, social connection and community, um, craftsmanship and detail. So we're also looking these. Most of these students have had a year and a half under their belts in the program, and we're looking to see if they understand the lexicon and that some of those words, that vocabulary is showing up in this writing. So, vision of landscape architecture practice, ecologically regenerative, socially integrative, artistically expressive, those kinds of things. The student's design philosophy is rooted in care for the environment, for others, her craft, um, aligns technical proficiency with artistic sensibility. So, heart landscape's not just a surface to beautify, but it's a medium for social healing and ecological restoration. Those are the kinds of things we're looking for, definitely, from students. Um, cognitive and reflective depth. So, the different stages of Gibbs' reflective cycle, and also looking at Bloom's taxonomy, can identify that this student is experiencing um, in a deeply reflective way what she's writing, what she's experiencing, and what she's trying to do. So description, clear personal narrative of discovery, feelings, honest emotional engagement, and you can see there the evidence in the writing from the quotes. So it's wonderful to see these little pieces pulled out easily and can be used to discuss some of these issues with each student. Metacognitive awareness, so something we talk a lot about is self-monitoring and self-regulation, and being the kind of student that can be self-motivated and come in and get to work, and be on time to class with drawings and writings for people to give feedback on. Um, and so, and with that, recognition of limits. But I think that once, the recognition of limits is also something that once we see that and read those things and have some discussions about it, we can help find skills or techniques to break through some of that stuff. Design thinking. And so empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. The system acts as a reflective partner. It's looking for pattern recognition. and prompting further exploration. The AI feedback loops are going to be analyzing the things they're doing, then comparing and making suggestions to how to make design solutions better. So we're going to focus on human-centered with empathy and augmentation. Automation is something that may come later. It will have its own feedback loops, and it will have its own analysis. But we want augmentation, not necessarily automation. So within this, we do pinups and critiques of each other, peer review. We may do lots of quick, short pinups. If people have questions, there'll be days where everyone will. There'll be other days where we may just put 2 or 3 people's work up if they're struggling, or if we want somebody to, that's done something really well and we want everybody to see it. We're not removing human critique from the system. This is a hybrid. We're as design professionals, we're giving input, and then allowing the AI to hopefully remove bias and give some feedback on things that we may have missed. Sometimes in a studio, it's hard to get to everybody and give a meaningful critique. And so this is a way that they can check themselves and self-regulate as well. In this case, the student 01 did 4 different conceptual diagrams, and I think I've showed 2 here. I'm going to show 2, and some really basic critique of even before this. That the student asked for basic critique, and then went back in and asked ChatGPT to be more critical in its review. And really focus in on the pocket neighborhood design philosophy kind of checklist and things from our readings. But you can see, as you can see, the critical rating, ChatGPT gave it back about the circular form there being too symbolic and totalizing, maybe. Idealizes community but offers no complexity or spatial tension. Little response to context or climate. We will feed in site inventory and analysis kind of documents in the coming year when we do this project, this process again. And so there will be ways to make that context a bigger part of the project. The conceptual planting plan, the feedback you got is pattern, not process. No evidence of ecological logic, sun, soil, hydrology. Again, we didn't feed in site inventory and analysis. That's something that we would definitely will do in the future. And it's saying without sections, without other types of drawings, it just becomes graphic decoration rather than a performative system. And site analysis can be fed back into that ChatGPT to assess validity of planting plans in terms of ecology, other things as well, layout of architecture in relationship to the sun, all those types of things. So I only showed 2, but there were 4 diagrams: arctangent, a circular one, a rectilinear one, and then a conceptual planting plan. And it broke down spatial clarity, social realism, ecological agency, and conceptual weaknesses for each of those. And a little bit more critique. For each, human scale is missing, ecology is ornament, lack of threshold hierarchy. And so, those are conceptual diagrams, and you would expect there to be some heavy feedback for that. We could have gone deeper and we did ask for critique on circulation, all sorts of different things that I don't have time to discuss here today. But the student then moved into we did a preliminary plan and then on to a master's plan here. ChatGPT, we asked it again to compare the variables or of a pocket neighborhood and to this master plan. Then it gave us strengths here. The shared green successfully anchors the community, offering visual cohesion and a clear community center. It talks about the peripheral housing, walkability, landscape and ecology, stormwater strategies, community garden, the critique planting layout is uniform and ornamental. Reading is a visual texture rather than an ecological system. So there's some work to do there. Architecture and program. So the strengths there's program diversity, cafe, garden shed, book nooks. All of that aligns with a mixed use neighborhood. Scale and density are consistent with the small community ideals. Corner store placement is bold, but maybe not in the most perfect place, although Suburban Nation does talk about the corner store. So maybe that needs to be pushed up a little bit, but there is a bus stop there, and that does create a nice gathering place for the overall neighborhood, not just the one that's being designed here. Then it gives us a checklist of all of the pocket neighborhood design checklists. So scale and density fulfilled, yes, because we've got 13 units there. Design, common green, central visible shared, check mark. And then if there are things lacking, it will give us a exclamation point and a yellow triangle. This parking strategy has got a check mark, but it's not yet socialized, so it's split between the two. And so it does show that there's some work that still can be done here. The overall class manifesto themes that we found or nature showed up in 76.9% of the manifestos. The theme of community showed up in 53.8%. The sustainability, connection, justice, ecology, craft, and simplicity. And it shows that students are developing holistic design values that bridge ecological, social, and aesthetic dimensions, and it embodies a shift toward reflective and value-driven design pedagogy. So they're reflecting, they're thinking about that, they're using the lexicon, the vocabulary that we want them to be using. And so the insights that we gathered from this research are they have implications for assessment. AI supported review can supplement traditional juries by offering data-driven reflection, reducing subjective bias. That's one of the greatest things it can do is take the bias out. And providing lots of feedback before final reviews. Students can do that on their own. Anytime they can feed this stuff into ChatGPT or Gemini now or in any Copilot. So we seem to think that we think that ChatGPT is a little better trained, and we think that we get better feedback from that. It is a hybrid eval model. combining human expertise with algorithmic consistency. So the AI's role is diagnostic. It helps students see the patterns in their thinking. And the methods align with growing literature on AI and landscape architecture. Um, AI can accelerate design iteration, improve ecological modeling. We can feed in those GIS layers if we need to, other site information. But the human aesthetic judgment and ethical reasoning remain irreplaceable. And so in our field, AI's greatest promise is amplification, helping us to design more thoughtfully, sustainably, and inclusively. It is not about automation. So the conclusion is that AI offers a new mirror for design education. It can reveal hidden relationships between students' values, spatial decisions, and their visual narratives. In doing so, it transformed the manifesto from a statement of intent into a model for reflection, a living algorithm of design thought. Moving forward, I plan to expand this research across multiple cohorts, longitudinally as well, develop a reflective process linking language, sentiment, and spatial form that students can use at any point in that process. Underlying message of it is simple. Technology should serve pedagogy and not the reverse. Thank you for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, you can email me at taz.fulford@msstate.edu. I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.